Program host and guests and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
And your host is Mr. Todd Harris, the Grand Poobah of the Martin County Business Exchange.
Well, buddy,
Woo!
it's a fine day. It's January 27th, and you can just tell it's wintertime here in Florida. It's cool weather, a little overcast today, and we're over here at the central headquarters of WSTU, the heritage radio station of Martin County. And I'm here with my co-host, who is filling in for Frank. My other co-host is Greg, the owner of the radio station. And welcome aboard, Greg. We're just glad to have you with us.
Yeah, they got me out of the janitor's closet today. Right.
He's sitting in the big chair today. He's running all the controls. He's over here pushing knobs and buttons, and I can see everything happening.
Yeah, and Frank's up in Tallahatchie.
Oh, wow. Fabulous.
Yeah. So
we have a good show in store. We'll go over some news like we always do, and then we'll go into airbag systems. What are they? How do they work? And we'll also talk about why are diesels so expensive? And then my wife will be on the second half of the show, and she'll take it from there. So let's start with some news. Interesting piece of news I read today in in a magazine is that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is investigating its 12th Tesla crash involving this autopilot or parking on autopilot. So it's very interesting what's going on here. And it's something that we've talked about over the course of a year in regards to these self-driving cars. What are the risks involved in it? Are we there yet, or are we not there yet? And I can tell you, as we get closer and closer and push this envelope onto self-driving cars, we have a lot of unanswered questions that need to be addressed out there.
Oh, really?
and I can tell you right now,
you've got somebody who I think may have a question.
Oh, okay.
Wants to talk about Teslas. Doug, you're on with Todd.
Hey, Todd, how you doing?
Oh, how you doing? Oh, go fire right away.
Thank you. Yes, actually, I'm a Tesla owner, and I wanted to offer any kind of information to anybody asking questions about the cars, that sort of thing. I understand you guys are somewhat familiar with Tesla as an automobile.
Yeah, here's what I can tell you. I know a bit about them, only in my research, my test driving of the vehicles, as well as I had done several presentations on Tesla in the infancy days of when the car company had just started and they come out with the Model S, or actually it would have been the Roadster then at first. But I don't have any firsthand anecdotal information. Maybe you can give us a couple stories, or maybe tell us a little bit about, well, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice, are you aware when the updates happen automatically, or do you have to, say, yes, I accept the updates for my car in regards to software?
In my particular case, I've got it set to kind of like your Windows computer. I've got it set to tell me to, load the update. That might be normal. I don't know. I've only had my car since December 19th.
Oh, wow.
And I've had 2 updates already, and they're pretty painless as long as you're within reasonable distance of a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a Model S?
No, sir. I have a 3 long-range all-wheel drive.
Oh, wow. That's a fabulous car. And that, maybe you do, you probably know that the motors in the Model 3 are a little bit different than the Model S. The Model S engines are electric motors are AC inductive, and the Model 3 are DC.
That's correct. And I think if I'm not mistaken, in the dual motor model like mine, one of them is a reluctance something or other. I can't even pronounce it. It's a long name. And the other one is just a standard DC motor. But yes, they're very, very powerful and really,
yeah. And one of the benefits of the electric motor and all electric cars is the instant torque. And I'm sure you can probably tell us about it. How does it accelerate from a stop?
It's enough to make me sell any stock I may have in roller coasters.
Yes. Isn't it amazing? I have driven a Model 3 with the dual engines, just like what you have. And I'm going to tell you, the acceleration is just, ludicrous. And that's one of Tesla's own words for ludicrous is the word. It's just, it takes all your blood and puts it back to your neck.
Yes. And to be fair, ludicrous is actually typically referred to a Model S.
Yes, in the ludicrous mode.
Speed.
Yeah.
But I don't have the performance model, but they do offer an upgrade that you can pay for. And this is one of the greatest things about Tesla as a company is that it's not a car company, it's a tech company that happens to be making cars. But you can upgrade my car right now to save a half a second on my 0 to 60 time for $2,000.
That's interesting. Interesting. I was unaware of that upgrade that was available. Do you have that? I think you probably have the newest software where you can do the thing. If you keep a dog in your car, it'll keep the windows down a little bit, circulate the AC.
It doesn't keep the windows down. It sets the climate to whatever temperature that you set.
Oh,
and it puts a little message on the screen. My owner will be back shortly. I'm in dog mode, and it tells in big letters. It tells what the temperature is inside the vehicle.
Isn't that interesting? It's fabulous technology when it can be presented to our everyday life and becomes viable and a real solution.
Doug, as a Tesla owner, have you seen the Facebook joke about Tesla where the unlimited Tesla never needs a charge? And it's pulling a generator.
Oh, geez. No, I haven't. I don't have Facebook. I'm a Twitter guy, so I haven't seen that one.
There you go.
Interesting. Now, do you on Model 3? Let's tell our listening audience about how do you control the direction of vent for the ventilation system? Is there a certain?
It's actually quite cool. It's a pinch or spread on the screen. It's a visual effect. You see the airwaves coming out of the dash.
Yep.
The vent goes all the way across, so you can pretty much direct the airflow wherever you want it. It's really
pretty neat, isn't it? How it's actually a physical cue that you're doing to do it, and it's similar as if you would take on some of these newer smartphones. If you want to expand or contract a picture, very similar.
Exactly.
It's similar, and then you're directing music too. So at the same time, it all happens at once. It's just a wonderful experience.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said you had test driven a Model 3. Do you own one?
No.
That's pretty rare. Normally, when people test drive one, they buy one. No,
they're just a fabulous car. I don't. I have actually one of my half electric car I have a Hyundai Ioniq, which is actually rated real well, 54 miles to the gallon. It's got an extended range battery in it, so it does quite well electrically, but it is a hybrid. So it was my newest purchase. Kind of a cool car. It's kind of a half and half.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Well, see, I own Crown Car Care, and that's what the show is. And as you know, with Tesla, they've got the lock on the repair side, but I do quite a bit of electric cars as well as hybrid cars. It's one of my specialties. So I'm versed in it, and the passion is there. So I am very familiar and very jealous of people that own Teslas, such as yourself. So the barrier to entry, of course, always is the price, and as we all know. So
is Tesla going to driverless?
Eventually, yes, and I think it's coming sooner than a lot of people think. I'm okay with the way it works now and what they call autopilot, but it's not full self-driving yet. But you put in the destination you want to go, and then just double down on the right stick on the steering column, and the car takes over. It'll do lane changes and speed corrections, and
the only thing is you have to have there has to be a little resistance felt in the steering wheel and column, correct. So it knows there's a human still attached.
That's correct. It nags you about every 20 to 25 seconds at random, and if you do not, it'll just take itself out of full self-drive.
That's right.
Mode or
I've used it before. It's quite marvelous. Have you this self-parking mode? Have you tried that at all?
My wife has. She says it works really well. I'm more of a drive it in kind of guy, but she drives it to work every day and absolutely loves it.
Yep. And how do you like your frunk?
It's funny. There was a Twitter thing the other day where somebody said he went to get pizza and he put the pizza in the frunk, and the 12-year-old in the car next to him said to his mother, "That guy just put his pizza on his engine." Yeah. So there's not a lot of space up there, but it is kind of cool. You put things up there.
Yeah. Interesting. I was just reading today, actually, that Mercedes-Benz has said that they are putting no more investment money or engineering effort into developing any new internal combustion motors. Isn't that interesting?
I saw that.
Mercedes-Benz.
That's really great. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting that we're seeing this switch. And I've also read by 2020, 40% of all vehicles will be electric. Not 2020, but 2040, 40%, which is a big number considering now it's only 2 out of 250.
Right. Well, I saw where Volvo had committed to all electric by 2025, and somebody just the other day said by 2030 all electric. All cars that they make will be electric. Might even have been Toyota.
Yeah, and I know Land Rover, which is owned by Tata Motors, an Indian car company. They've also said that it will at least be all hybrid. They're going to be full electric, but at least some of them will be the hybrid, of course, because that making the full transition is we're not quite there yet in terms of distribution of the electricity for people to get charged up. We're not quite there.
No, but it's certainly convenient for us. We've taken two decent long road trips, and you do have to stop every couple of 100 miles and charge for a few minutes, but it's not too bad. Case in point, we drove up to Atlanta to see our grandkids, and the gasoline car normally takes about 8.5 hours with one stop. The Tesla car took just over an hour longer than that with 3 stops of about 20 minutes.
And you stopped at the super stations that they've got along the way.
That's correct. Yes, it was very cool.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you're new to listening to us, Teslas have not proprietary, but they've built into their infrastructure and their business models supercharging stations, which are placed strategically along the interstates and things, so you can travel across the country, up the country, down the country, wherever, and you can get it's a fast DC charge is what it is, and it allows you to charge that battery at a much faster clip than you do if you have to use the inverter that's on board on the car itself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's fabulous that you've had the experience to be able to see it. Any lines or anything when you refueled?
So far, only one, and it was this last time we went up to Titusville to watch the launch from the SpaceX, the Crew Dragon abort test.
Yes.
And coming home, there was a couple of folks we had to wait for at a station, but there were 16 bays, and there was 18 folks there.
Yeah, so it wasn't too bad a wait.
No, we went over to a local restaurant and had lunch and came back and was able to charge up, no problem.
Well, great. This is a very thank you so much for calling us. What a great testimony, and just you seem very knowledgeable about your vehicle, and that is kind of what I expect on Tesla owners. A lot of them are the early adopters, which are a little bit more tech geared and orientated type people. And is that the case with you? You're interested in not only the car but as well as the technology behind it?
Yes, I've been an IT specialist for 35 years, so it's quite interesting to me what they're capable of, and yeah. I think the future. I think this is just the tip of a very big iceberg for Tesla.
Oh, I do too. Well, they've got that new Cybertruck coming out too, which is just they've got 250. I don't know how many orders they've got on it, but
over 500, and I'm one of them.
Yeah. It's very interesting, and it's very interesting how not that he needs the money, but he's able to crowdfund almost some of his investment that he takes to build the car by promoting it at an early level and allowing people to invest.
Yeah, and then
just neat.
Recently they sold some carbon credits to I forget which big company bought them. I think maybe even GM, and it's over a long period of time, but it was enough to basically fund a Gigafactory in Berlin. So
yeah, that was one of that's not, I say dirty secrets because maybe it is a dirty secret because it's a carbon credit. That's one of their dirty secrets on how they're profitable is their ability to sell their carbon credits at a global level, which enables them. It's a secondary source of income above and beyond building and manufacturing and distributing and selling the cars.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you add in the Solar City acquisition and the Maxwell Battery acquisition, and you have a juggernaut of a company.
Yep. Solar City, if anyone's not familiar with that, that's a company that their big play is solar panels at a residential level. And their biggest play on that is they lease them, so there's no outside investment needed from the homeowner. Very interesting business model.
Then you add to that the mega packs where they're putting those in place of utility grids in countries like Australia and whatnot to help balance out the grid and avoid the utility company from having to start up their coal peaker plants. So it's a really cool thing.
Well, here, I'll tell you this. I have a friend of mine that has a 30,000 square foot house in Puerto Rico, and he has 3 of the wall units.
Wow.
He's totally
That's a big house, brother.
Yeah, he's totally off grid. Totally off grid. He's got solar panels. Everything is self-sufficient. Very interesting house.
Dare I ask, how much are the replacement batteries?
That's actually a very good question. And so far, I haven't had to worry too much about it. The warranty on the battery and drivetrain for the Model 3 is 8 years, 160,000 kilometers. And so far, our range is 310 miles roughly on a full charge. We've seen a little bit of degradation because this was a demo unit, but we're only talking 8 miles. We've lost like 8 miles of range over the course of 7,000 miles, so it's pretty good. But I did hear, to answer your question, I did hear that the batteries were 8,000, but that's not an official number from Tesla. That was hearsay from a guy who thinks he knows something.
Yeah. The big thing on longevity is just knowing the process of charging the lithium ion batteries. So you get optimal performance, optimal charging, and optimal life. It's a balance, and that's where the smart talking heads that are involved in the engineering side of it and the software side of it are able to put their experience into it and really come up with a great algorithm that makes the charging most efficient.
I completely agree. And then the battery management system that's built into the car, where it preconditions the batteries before you go to a supercharger, it actually heats them up, and then it slowly cools them back down. So it's a lot of thought that got put into this vehicle.
Yes.
From the ground up. I mean, it's a fabulous vehicle.
And for everyone that didn't know, the Tesla emblem that's everyone sees as that Tesla emblem looks like a T is actually a cross section of their first AC inductive motor, the windings.
Yes,
so I didn't know if anyone knew that.
That is cool. You and I should hang out.
So,
I have a question for you regarding your Crown Car Care.
Yes, sir.
Do you do window tinting?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We do not do window tinting, but I can tell you a little bit about window. Make sure you get what you pay for with window tinting, and it's the molecules I'm talking about, not necessarily the expertise of installing it. Do your research on the film.
Thank you. I will. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for calling. I'm going to take a break here, and then we'll come back with the second half of the Crown Car Care Radio Hour. You've been listening here on WSTU 1450 AM. Take it away, Greg. Welcome back, everybody. We took a little quick break there, and we're back. We had a fabulous caller. If you didn't catch the first half of our show, it was a delight and a treat to have someone randomly call us with the Model 3 Tesla and give us some good firsthand information. He seems very, very knowledgeable, more than I am, and it was just great to hear some testimony and some live world experience that he's had owning it. And as I can say, nothing but good. He's had nothing but good experiences out there with the Tesla Model 3, which is their, as of now, the latest introduction vehicle that they have. They got a Cybertruck coming out here, and I think at the end of this year, beginning of next year, they've got this bulletproof super Cybertruck coming. So if you want one, reserve it for yourself.
This goes back. It was one of the last stories I did in California before Carol and I moved here. And it was a company that was retooling. Remember the old Pontiac Fieros?
I sure do. That was my wife's first car, or she wanted it. And by the way, we have our second half, our better half is here with my son, my wife Tamara, and my son Max. You want to say hi, Max?
Hi.
Okay. So back to the Fiero story.
The Fiero story was great. And, this was just the beginning of the electric car. And this would have been 1992. And there was a dealer in the San Fernando Valley who had these. And so we're testing them. And I was at Fox 11 at the time. And
you mean the EV1 is what you're talking about, I think, the electric one.
Well, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But, he just said, don't be afraid to gun it. And so, we're up on an on-ramp to the Hollywood Freeway, I guess it was, and there's no noise. There's nothing. And the car starts flying. And it was like, holy smokes, we're at 55 miles an hour and
That's
nothing flat. It was so cool. But yeah, you figure that was 1992. And just imagine, 27 years later, you've got something like a Tesla around.
I know it.
Amazing.
It's the march of technology and the time compression that happens with technology, how it advances things at an exponential rate, kind of like Moore's law, Moore's law is that famous physicist that talked about how fast that we double the computing speed every, I think, 5 or 6 years with microchips and circuitry. So,
But is it going faster now, guys? What do you think? I mean, it just seems like technology is really starting to take off now.
it really is. But I want to take a moment and pause because I believe I was at work yesterday and I happened to look at the news and I saw a story that we all need to take pause for, because what a great person he was and a great leader he was in his world. And that would be Kobe Bryant, with what happened yesterday with his family and helicopter and how he's no longer with us. Boy, what a great icon he was and is, and what a great inspiration he was for the game of basketball. And wow, what a guy.
Especially with the kids. I mean,
What a guy.
That's where, I did not know him or cover him as a player. My era, if you will, was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. But, it just...
Greg was an announcer on ESPN and one of the founding people of ESPN.
Yeah.
Greg, and I'm sitting right next to him.
They call us a dinosaur.
Well, no. Well, you're
I wonder if Greg knows Steak
Yeah.
in Atlanta is on ESPN. Anyhow.
Yeah, but it was truly amazing to see what he did after his playing days, even though it's only been 4 years, with the kids basketball, and with his whole training regimen, which was from.
How about you told me the anecdotal story before the show about him always early. How early was he in basketball? Probably usually a couple hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually sometimes longer than that. And one of the players that came in, Jay Williams, who was only in the league a couple of years, but he walked in, he figured, okay, it's 2.5 hours before my practice. Kobe was already on the floor.
Wow.
And he was just,
Did you hear that, Max?
But like full bore. And he would shoot maybe 3 to 4 hours. Max, are you a good free throw shooter?
Yes.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Yes.
Okay. How much do you practice free throws?
Like almost an hour for a couple days a week.
He practices quite a bit. He doesn't work as hard as I think.
You do that every day and you'll be fine. No, the classic story, and it involves Pat Riley. Magic Johnson was telling me they're flying back from Boston. They played the Knicks and the Celtics, and they were terrible. They just stunk up Boston real bad, and they missed 1 million free throws. So Riley says, "Get your gear." And this is as they're about ready to land in LA. We're going to Loyola, and you're going to practice free throws. So the players start mumbling and grumbling. And this was at 6 a.m. By
Early.
12 noon, they're still in that gym shooting free
Wow.
throws. And these are NBA guys.
Well, here's a question for you, and I'm sure you know the answer. One of the greatest players in basketball who had some of the most points per game on an average was also one of the worst free throw shooters, and you know who that man is.
Well, name him.
Wilt Distill.
Well, Wilt was terrible.
In fact, do you know that one season he shot underhand and he got so much grief from doing it granny style that he stopped? True story.
Well, Rick Barry did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that helped him shoot.
That
Yeah, well,
is
it's more
so
accurate.
funny.
It just doesn't look too good for you.
So Max,
It's
keep
like
practicing.
bowling, yeah.
That's the key. Just practice.
And that's what, and I'm going to say a takeaway from Kobe Bryant and what he did is I can relate it to my business is the best never rest. And then the sense that no matter how good we think we are, it always takes more effort. It takes a little bit harder push to keep you that way. And I can tell you just this weekend where most people would be not at work, I can tell you at Crown
Todd
Car
was
Care,
at
I was
work.
there both days, not full days, but I was both there working. And there's many nights I work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night on one particular car. And it's because I'm driven, my business is driven to get it right. And sometimes it takes that effort that nobody wants to put in, but is needed to get to the solution or to the correct fix on a car. And that's what we do at Crown Car Care. And I saw that right with Kobe Bryant on how he led his life and how he played basketball. Same thing.
You can't be number one without that drive.
You have to have it.
Period.
And it's a natural thing. I can tell you with me, I don't decide to be that way. I am that way. I was born that way. And it's the way I am with cars, and it's the way I am with everything. It's just we do what it takes, and then we know if it takes extra effort. Without question, we don't even consciously make a choice to stay and put more effort in. We just do it.
Cool.
And that is what Crown Car Care is about. And I can tell you that's what a lot of the great basketball players, and anyone in sports for that matter, has done with their life. I know Kobe Bryant on many times had spoken that the driving force behind him on pushing himself was Michael Jordan. And it's the same with the other guy. Who's going to get all his shoes, Max? LeBron James, same thing. It was Michael Jordan. Seeing him play, of course, he's a younger player since Michael retired, but seeing him play, well, here's another example. John Stark, arch enemy of Michael Jordan in his heyday. I believe he was from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm correct.
You're digging up some names here. Yeah. Okay.
John Stark, he was like that arch enemy of Michael Jordan. And whenever they had a rivalry going on, it was just fierce. And Michael Jordan would just hang his tongue out, shrug his shoulder, and bang a half quarter to win the game. Who knows? But that's just the way the world plays out when you're driven.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Well, Max has got a lot to shoot for.
And he does practice quite a bit. In fact, you played this weekend. You had, 2 games this weekend, right, Max?
Yes.
Yep.
And this morning he had practice at school. He had to be there at 7 a.m.
And
then he was supposed to go to practice this afternoon, but that was canceled.
And he also has a trainer that comes 3 days a week, a personal trainer that trains with him. So
it's a lot of work.
But it takes a lot of work to be great. It doesn't take a lot of work to be good. It takes a lot of work to be great.
What was really interesting, going back to Kobe again, was, his daddy only played in the NBA for about 7 or 8 years and then went to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And they were living in Italy. And that's where Kobe picked up Italian. And it's very interesting because one of the other players that was talking yesterday was saying that Kobe made a point that if there was a player coming to play against the Lakers that was from Serbia, he would speak to him in Serbian. I mean, he was a guy, languages to him, it's like my wife, that it's just automatic.
What a great story. I never knew that.
And the same with the Croats, Greek, he would do the same thing. And then, when they moved to China, he picked up Chinese because that's where his daddy was playing for about 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And it's mind-boggling,
Me, I struggled with one language, trying to pick up a little bit of Spanish too then. But wow. When you think great and dream big, there's endless possibilities of success, and that is a perfect example of it. So,
yes, sir.
So I'm going to pass the microphone over to my wife and my son and Greg. I will be calling back in once I get to my car. I have a board meeting to go to tonight, and I haven't left everybody, but I'm just going to be hop, skipping, and jumping, and then I'll give you a call.
Sounds good. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Whoa. There you go.
Hi, Todd.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
So what's going on in the world of cars?
Well, when we were talking about technology earlier and how fast everything's moving, well, in one part of the world that uses tractors, they don't like all the technology. And I was reading an article in the Star Tribune in Minneapolis that says the enduring popularity of 30 and 40-year-old tractors, which have sparked bidding wars among farmers at auctions across the heartland, are so popular right now because they don't like all that technology on their tractors, and most of them are out way far out on a farm, and when they need to when their touch screen goes bad or something happens, then they have to have somebody come out and fix it, and it can take days or weeks before somebody gets out there to do it. So these John Deere tractors, these 40-year-old tractors, are selling for more now than they did 40 years ago.
I love it.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can really see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it says at a recent auction, the prices were as high as $61,000 for a 1979 John Deere 4640 with only 826 operating hours on it. That's more than it cost new 40 years ago.
Wow. That's a great story.
I thought that was very interesting.
Well, you hear a lot about farming becoming so technologically superior now with all the computerization and stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, where are the cell towers?
Exactly.
And how are they doing this?
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, I guess it's working.
Yes. So that was an interesting article. And let's see what else. Oh, and then I read another article about I bet that's Todd.
We will find out here in just un momentito. Caller, identify yourself.
This is the mobile WSTU roving reporter, Todd speaking.
Welcome back, Todd.
Oh,
So,
my. Go ahead.
I'm driving in my Hyundai Ioniq, which, if you were listening to the first half of the show, we own our family and company, and it is a 54 mile per gallon, wonderful 2019, partially electric, partially internal combustion vehicle that is a delight to drive. It gets fabulous mileage, and wow, the technology on it is just wonderful. So,
That's
Hyundai.
amazing.
Hyundai Ioniq.
That is amazing. Yeah. Well, in your world though, with all the electric stuff, I mean, you've always prided yourself in learning the entire scheme of an automobile over your entire career, not just, engines, if you will.
That is correct. And that is one of the trade secrets of Crown Car Care, which, by the way, we have 2 locations in Martin County. We have one in Stewart and we have one in Palm City. The easiest way to reach us is 772-781-8000. That's 772-781-8000. Yes, it's what drives me, Greg. I become one with the car when I fix them, and my people do. And you have to look at it collectively as an entire living unit. And when you do it that way, you get the subsystems and you get the technology, and you're able to integrate all that into your decision making on how to fix these or service them. Well, that is the secret. Yes.
That's Todd's talent.
That's amazing, Todd. That's really cool.
I'm going to give you an example. This 2 weekends ago, here's a live case study. We had a car come in that was from a body shop. And it wasn't there for a wreck or anything. It was there for a top problem. And they couldn't get the top to operate properly. It was a Mercedes SLK 550, SLK 550, which is a premium 2-door Mercedes-Benz V8 convertible, all automatic. So when you push a button, the whole thing just takes over and puts the windows down and lifts up the boot, lifts up the tonneau cover, and seals it all down. Well, this thing was stuck in the down position, and nobody could fix it, except, of course, Todd and Crown Car Care. And I will tell you, it took me a half a day to get to the solution. As with all things, though, that are difficult, the solution, once you know it, is easy. But it's getting there. That's the journey.
Well,
that's where most fail.
Yes, I happened to be there when Todd was working on this, and I was overwhelmed just looking at this beautiful car that was taken apart in so many pieces and all these wires everywhere. And it was just amazing to me how Todd found the problem, fixed it, and had the car all put back together, looking perfect. I was really overwhelmed with that, Todd. That was amazing because it made me see like how many pieces and parts and all these things that you're dealing with. It's just so much.
Nuts and bolts. Mm-hmm. And here's what the solution was on this. There's a bundle of wires that go along the rocker panel on the driver's side that go back to 4 or 5 computers that are in the trunk. And these particular wires of bundles are known where moisture can get in. And if there's any kind of defect in the coating or the sheathing that goes around these bundled wires over the course of time, corrosion can set in. And what had happened was internally in one of these wires that was a communication wire between 2 computers, it had turned green. So there was high resistance in the wire. And it was one single wire, one single repair is all it took to fix that. I'll repeat that. One single wire, one single repair. Yet it took 6 to 7 hours to get to the solution. And it took a whole 5 minutes to fix it.
Oh my. That's
so
amazing.
If people are ever wondering out there, what does it take to become an automotive technician? What does it take to own a shop? First of all, it has to take the vision of somebody seeing that many times to get to the solution is long, tedious.
But many people would have
work.
not taken the time to get to the solution and would have given up. I'm certain of that.
Oh, most would have given up by now. Why do you think I had the car? This was from another shop.
Right.
Wow.
So,
because you have grit.
The point is, it's not just me, it's my business. It's the culture of Crown Car Care that has grit. We do what it takes. If you bring a vehicle in to me, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Now, I can't tell you how long it's going to take on some of these problematic vehicles, but I can tell you I'll fix it. I'll give you another case in point of a vehicle. Several years ago, I had the pleasure of having the CEO of a Think car company call me on the phone. Tamara, you remember that?
Yes. The little Think
CEO
car.
of
There's
The
this
what?
The Think car.
was owned by Ford Motor
It's
Company.
a teeny
The CEO,
little. It's one of these funny looking little tiny
They look
cars.
like a smart car from
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But-
Okay.
full electric, okay? Manufacturer worldwide. The CEO of the company, their headquarters for America were in Indiana. I think it was in Indianapolis. And I got a phone call, oddly enough, from the CEO of the company. And they had got my name from just, just my associations in the business world, as well as my associations as known to be a fixer, as well as an electric car enthusiast, as well as fixer. They asked me if I'd accept a challenge, and money was no object. They had a customer's car in Miami that their engineers, their whole team of engineers, could not fix. And I'd be interested in fixing it. They would deliver the car to me, and they would give me all their engineering computers and data and information behind the scenes and give it to me. And would I take on the challenge to fix it? And you know what the answer was, right? The answer was, of course. That's like asking, a basketball player, is he willing to play the whole game? If it means they'll win the game, and that basketball player is going to say, "You better believe I will."
Todd, with today's cars, what's the computing power in those cars now?
About 20 times what the space shuttle was.
That's amazing.
So does that give you it's mind bending. I can think of no other consumer good that we use at a national, worldwide level that has as much technology packed into it at any given moment, year over end, as the vehicle does. The technology, the changes happen on a yearly basis. It requires my people at Crown Car Care to be updated, ASE certified. In fact, I myself have 12 certifications from ASE, but I have to take every 4 years and renew. It keeps me on my game.
You sound like a doctor.
I know.
You really sound like a doctor.
You have to. But the secret to it is that it all becomes easy if you think like a car. I'll repeat that. It all becomes easy if you understand what the car is trying to do at the time. If you understand how the systems work, then anybody can read a schematic. Anybody can look at a repair manual. But understanding how that repair manual works, understanding how that particular part integrates into the vehicle is what takes the talent. And that's what we at Crown Car Care do. That's why people will bring me a diesel truck that nobody can fix. Why people will bring me a certain particular aspect of a car that everyone's looked at in town and no one can come up with a solution. I look at it as an opportunity. All those things that Dave tried to do didn't work, and there's one simple solution that's left to be found, and we'll find it. But if you go in with the attitude that you're going to find it, that you know the solution is there, that it just requires a technique change or a mindset change, for some reason, the world always delivers you the solution. And that's the way it works in not just my business, but any business. Why do you think there's great basketball players and great football players? Why do they excel greater than anybody else? It's because it's people like Kobe Bryant that were there practicing well before anyone else was there and well after. It takes a belief that you're better than everybody else. And when you do that, success is right around the corner. Of course, you have to hone your skills. You got to sharpen your knives. You got to learn. You got to read. You got to breathe it, sleep it. But if you can do that, you can make it in any business, in any sport, in any endeavor, and you can be the best at it.
I'm ready to go play, Coach.
Yeah, very inspirational.
Put me in.
That's what it takes.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's a
hard
belief.
work.
It's a belief in yourself, more so than it is a belief in your business or anything else. If you believe that you can do it, it can be done. All of our great inventors of our time, whether it was Edison, whether it was Henry Ford with the V8 motor, Henry Ford, the team of his engineers, well before the V8 motor was invented or even integrated into a single pour casting from a sand mold, he told his engineers to come up with a solution for it, and they told him it couldn't be done. And he says, yes, it will be done because you're going to do it. And he walked away. And of course, his team of engineers came up with a solution for a single pour casting on a V8 motor, which is what we use today on any, V8 motors is a technique that was started by Henry Ford, right? So the idea that you can't get to a solution because the mountain is too high to climb is never viable. You got to break that mountain up into smaller parts and do one step at a time. And by the time you know it, you're at the apex of the mountain, and you've climbed it. And that's how many great people do great things in their lives, and that's how they succeed, by the belief in themselves and the belief in what they do is right. So,
Very nice. Very well said, Todd.
Boy, that's nice. Yeah.
Well, I got to leave you, everybody. I'm at my meeting. I'll leave you for the last few minutes. It's been a pleasure, Greg, having you with me on this show. It's been a pleasure what we've talked about. Max, it's been a pleasure having you with us, and Tamara. And I'll leave the three of you to wind things down.
Okay. Thanks, Todd.
Good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. That was inspirational.
Todd is
That was
very
really cool.
inspirational. Yes,
Yeah.
he is a very inspirational person with a positive outlook and attitude. So it's really great to hear him speak like that and just get that inspiration, right, Max? So back to Crown Car Care.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have two locations, one in Palm City off 714, just past the Turnpike entrance. And you can reach us at 772-781-8000. And our other location is on Cove Road, south of US 1. So if you need anything, have any questions, you can give us a call at 772-781-8000.
So no matter whether you're in the north end of the county or the south end of the county, there's a Crown Car Care there.
You can find us. Yes, that's right. Palm City and Stewart on Cove Road. So
like the foreign cars, are they more of an issue for you than the American automobiles?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
I would say Todd would say no. I mean, it depends on the car.
Well,
like
his
Volkswagens,
attitude, he can work on anything.
Volkswagens are not his favorite. of
Yeah.
cars. They have, well, I don't want to say anything like they have so many problems, but some older ones tended to have a lot of problems. So those aren't his favorite cars. But I mean, he loves the foreign cars, and he loves American made cars too. So he's pretty equal on that.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what are the hours at your place?
Oh, we're open at 7, and we're there until our last customer leaves with their car. Basically,
Mhm.
we stay open for people when they need to come get their car after hours and that kind of thing. So
I know when we brought ours in, it was relatively quick,
Mhm.
but there are, I'm sure, like Todd was talking about, there've got to be some problematic cars too.
Oh yes, there are problematic cars all the time. Yes, and somehow they find their way to Crown Car Care.
Well, and what amazed me was what Todd was talking about that one car, and you just think of like the communications, which is the utmost that you need in a
Mhm.
car, and that just one little wire could get wet
Yes.
and then rust out,
Mm-hmm.
and you're done.
Yes. Amazing. It was really, and when I saw all these wires and just this car taken apart, the seats out, and I mean, just all kinds of, I mean, if you saw it and it was your car, you'd be like, oh, you would never think that it would be able to be put back together and be the same. But it was, Todd. That's just what he does. That's what these guys do. It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing though that a manufacturer could goof on that and put a wire
Mhm.
which can't stand water in a
In a
trough where,
Yes,
where it gets moisture?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
That's-
Those kind of things happen all the time. It
Yeah.
seems like those goof kind of things, and cars and all kinds of appliances and things. So
Oh, sure. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's funny when Carol and I were at the broadcasters convention, I think it was 2 years ago, and one of the vice presidents of Ford was there.
Mhm. Oh wow.
And he was saying that, they're talking about driverless cars by 2030. And he said, that's our goal. And so he said, that may be our goal. That's not going to happen. But he would say he was very realistic. He said it might be a decade later.
Right.
But he said before 2050,
Mhm.
we'll have a lot of driverless vehicles.
Wow.
That's, I don't know.
I can't, it's hard to imagine.
It is.
It
And,
really is.
having traveling around with the IRSC basketball team as I have, and we've had some incidents
Mhm.
on our bus where, truck drivers may be falling asleep and, in the middle of nowhere and, forcing us off the road. And we
Mhm.
luckily had a great bus driver who could wrestle that bus and get us back on the road again.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's happened 3 times now in 2
Wow.
years.
How's the basketball team doing?
We're doing great.
Great.
At 12 straight wins.
Wow.
The second most longest winning streak in Florida.
Wow.
Florida
Awesome.
Southwestern has got 15 wins. Yeah, we're doing well. It's and if I can give them a plug, home game.
Yes. When's the next game? We need
Wednesday
to
night.
go.
Max needs to go.
Yes, we
Yeah.
need to go.
Yeah, and the ladies are doing better. Actually, they're 2 wins away
Mhm.
from being the winningest ladies team in the last 10 years. So, we're wishing them well too. But
Wow.
the guys are in a whole different stratosphere right now.
So it's a really good team. That's amazing. And
It
where do most of them come from? Are they local, or
Oh, no,
they're all
no.
they've been?
We've got our closest young guy is Wellington.
Really? Wow.
And we've got several players from the Orlando area, some from the Miami area. We don't have a lot of foreign players,
Mhm.
but there are a couple teams that we play that have a lot of Serbians,
Mhm.
that will have Greeks, have Israelis.
Wow.
One University of Miami team we played 2 years ago was it was a junior Olympic squad. They had 6
Really?
Olympians on that team.
Wow.
Yeah, from various
Oh
countries.
my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But tell us again, Crown Car Care.
Car Care, 3982 Southwest Bruner Terrace in Palm City. And our phone number is 772-781-8000.
And
Come
if you
see us.
live in Tradition, you're basically right down the street. You're on 714
Yes.
and just right off of 714, and you're right there.
Yeah, it's a hop, skip, and a jump away from Tradition, really.
You bet.
Yeah. Get on 95 or 714, and there you are.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. Well, you guys do such an amazing job, and and hats off to you, because you've been going a long time, and boy, obviously, as Todd was talking about, the experience counts.
Exactly. Oh, wow. And the love and the passion for what you're doing. And that's what Todd has.
And the ASE certification,
Mm-hmm.
that's got to tell you something.
Yes. Well, you care about what you do and you want to be certified, and that's important.
Yep.
It's very important.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
Well, you guys are wonderful when it comes to the community, everything you guys do in the community. Any community events that Crown Car Care is?
I can't think of anything right now.
But you've been involved in that.
Yeah. So right now, we stay closer to home and the schools that my children go to, Anderson Middle School. And, so we like to do things, for the school and that type of thing.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And basketball.
Basketball. And more basketball.
Yes, and more
Well,
basketball.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yes.
So Max, you keep growing, keep practicing, and hey, maybe we'll even see you at IRSC sometime.
That's right. Huh? Yes, definitely.
You could be one of the few local players that we get at Indian River. That'd be kind of cool, huh?
Yes, that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to come out to a game.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We'll be there Wednesday night, and we'd love to have you. And if you guys manage to come on by, stop on by.
And we'll say hi.
We're courtside. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much to both of you.
Thanks for listening to the Crown Car Care Show.
And Max, you have a good night and have a good career, huh? You've been listening to the Crown Car Care Show. Todd and Tamara. How about that, huh? And Max. Right here on WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station, and WSTU1450.com worldwide.